Hello, my brothers and sisters. It looks like this Gojo vs Sukuna fight is in full effect with the start of round 2. And what an interesting setup chapter as we continue our Shinjuku showdown for what's been about 9 chapters so far. This fight chapter is actually like a good mix of action and a lot of important details. One big thing, if you notice, Gojo throughout this chapter, his hand-to-hand is utterly insane. Kusakabe brings out Gojo's punches are special because he applies an application of the pulling effect blue to make it more powerful on top of his own cursed energy reinforcement, and Yuta and Akari mentioned that they got hit with it in that limitless and they both threw up from it. Given their level as sorcerers, we quickly get the impression Gojo is so much stronger on a fundamental level, it's actually comedic. We actually get a Nanami flashback as Yuji says Nanami said the same thing about Gojo and how strong he was. He told him not to compare himself to Gojo if Yuji wants to become a sorcerer. Even Nanami couldn't keep up with him. So long story short, all the Jujutsu students as well as the adults like Kusakabe acknowledge Gojo is well beyond their own scope of understanding. Then we see a crazy panel of Gojo absolutely going crazy, ragdolling Sukuna across Shinjuku, ripping through concrete and overall being a badass. Sukuna recovers and gets his footing back, but then Gojo uses a planetary devastation-like attack with blue, using the rubble to crush Sukuna. Sukuna immediately breaks out and dodges Gojo's kick, but is shocked when Gojo halts and slams the ground with a powerful stomp. It only gets crazier though. Sukuna dodges with a flip and tries to counter with a downward roundhouse kick, and Gojo does something completely out of nowhere. Gojo vanishes and appears to be using Limitless, much likely an application of blue, to amp his own speed to a degree where Gojo actually creates after image clones to essentially confuse and assault Sukuna with physical attacks. Something to note as well that we'll get into in a second is Sukuna's Dharma Chakra wheel turns black when he tries to attack, which is a very key detail. But honestly, after image clones are crazy, and I'm sure this is just a nod to Hunter x Hunter with Killua using rhythm echo and that technique. Gege just loves Togashi references, man. He's not even hiding it, and I love it. However, even considering this crazy technique, Sukuna was able to perceive Gojo's attack. He caught it with his fist and countered with a punch, and funny enough, it looks like Gojo had a silly moment where he was found out. Sukuna explains the meaning for the ritual or the treasure in summoning Maharaga and the wheel is with regard to circulation and balance. Maharaga adapts to the attack after taking it and having the wheel spin, and just then the wheel has spun. Gojo then figures out when Sukuna touches Gojo with domain amplification, the wheel then begins to turn black, and Gojo thinks he reads it with his 6 eyes and may tell him that that means the adaptation is being stopped. So Sukuna can't use domain expansion, but he can use domain amplification because the part of his brain that was damaged was the one used for barrier techniques, and domain amplification is actually not really a barrier technique. Sukuna notices to avoid adaptation, Gojo hasn't been using anything besides Curse Technique Lapse, which is his applications of blue. The group then discusses why Maharaga still isn't emerging, because it did seem to adapt to Unlimited Void, but Akari mentions for the Limitless attack, it might have to spin several times, and Gojo confirms that he did need to spin 4 times in total for Maharaga to adapt to My Infinity. So we are given a number and Sukuna has 3 more spins to go. Sukuna mentions it's the countdown for that smirk on Gojo's face, to which Gojo trolls Sukuna and does the most smug and grinny face, saying right back at ya. Gojo gets dark real quick to tell Sukuna he will beat him dead before he gets to those 3 spins. And Angel, or really rather Hana, because you know Hana has a crush on him, asks if Gojo has forgotten about Megumi. Even Yuji thinks maybe, but the Chad himself Kashimo said, "It's fine, let him forget." To which Hana says no, it's not, and damn, Megumi is really catching strays today. But at this moment, the countdown for Dead or Alive has begun. Gojo is counting on Sukuna's demise and Sukuna is counting on Gojo's defeat. The 10 Shadows has been such a crazy ability throughout this fight because I'm pretty sure Sukuna plans on using Mahoraga immediately when the wheel has adapted to infinity. Sukuna will probably reach a point where he can challenge the Limitless eventually. And it's amazing how well Sukuna has been doing with just amplification to thwart Gojo, but low-key, Sukuna was getting cooked hand to hand. And what's really crazy is just how self-assured Sukuna is every time. Despite injury, despite how he looks, Sukuna just keeps his posure. Last chapter, it was a little bit more evident how his ego can backfire on him, but the same can apply for Gojo as well. They are all really going blow for blow. But let's see next time just what Sukuna has in mind that just makes him so certain about winning. Gojo has been dominating outside of domain expansions, but he's gonna have to bring more to the table to actually kill Sukuna, because Sukuna has just been kind of sponging all of this damage and picking away at Gojo. The longer this fight goes on and drags on, the more time and chances the wheel will have to adapt to Limitless. Gojo is no fool. He knows what the Dharma Chakra wheel does, and hopefully he will find a way to deal with it. And it's interesting, Gojo was so unserious this chapter. Like, as soon as domains are out of play, I bet Gojo was just elated at how formidable he is as an opponent. But now it looks like both fighters are going to be looking for cracks in each other's defenses, so to speak. 231 chapters and still no Sukuna Curse Technique reveal. I am so eager to see just what Sukuna has, but due to Sukuna's reliance on the 10 Shadows and each week it just hardly seems relevant. Every week I hear Sukuna's demon form might be better hand to hand. Just wait till Sukuna says open. Wait till Yorozu's gift. And by all means have hope in these things, but I just want it to be done right. And I'm pretty sure Sukuna will reveal a lot of his toolkit on Gojo in this battle. He should, honestly. To me, I think Yorozu's words and Sukuna recalling her statement twice basically solidifies Gojo will be the toughest opponent Sukuna has ever faced. He will be someone Sukuna actually respects, at least strength-wise. So this fight should be taken to the brink, which is interesting because most of us expect Sukuna to survive and, go on and finally fight Kashimo or handle business with Yuji or fight Jujutsu High. So there is so many directions to go, and there is just no telling what Gege will do. Related to this fight though, Gojo will probably have to get creative with Limitless or how he tackles Sukuna as not to fumble himself, and yet again this fight, it just feels like it begun all over again. So at this point, I'm really looking out for either one to break out of this mold, break out of this cycle, and take some sort of lead, but all in good time. Obviously, we want to see them throw hands, but for the most important fight in Jujutsu history, I'd really appreciate deeper story elements like flashback and build up on lore and maybe more themes of love and strength to really make this fight stand out. That's it for this one though, my brothers and sisters. This fight is completely crazy. This chapter was quite unique, and I hope you awesome guys enjoyed it. Comment below what you guys think will happen in the future. I'd love to hear your input. I'm sorry if this vid was a little light on the edits maybe. I'll try to make some follow-up videos or discussions or streams next week, so look out for that. This has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome guys in the next one. Bye-bye.